It is 2 minutes past midnight when I hear the persistent banging on my door. They are not the gentle knocks of someone with an emergency. They are impatient bangs, like someone in a hurry who doesn't care about waking up the whole neighborhood. I get up, confused, my heart racing. In 65 years of life, no one has ever come to my house at this hour of the morning. I walk barefoot down the cold hallway of my small house, the one I bought with my savings after selling the big one to help Robert set up his auto parts business. With every step I take toward the door, I feel a tightness in my chest, as if something bad is about to happen. I open the door, and there he is. Robert, my 42-year-old son, dressed in an expensive shirt and shoes that cost more than 2 months of my retirement check. Next to him is Lisa, his wife, with an impatient expression and her arms crossed. Behind them, I see a luxury car with the doors open. He doesn't greet me. He doesn't ask how I am. He doesn't apologize for the hour. He simply says in an authoritative voice, "Mum, we need you to take care of Lisa's mother. Ruth can no longer walk well. Her bones hurt a lot, and she needs help with everything." Before I can answer, I watch as the two of them carry an older woman, thin and fragile, who quietly groans with every movement. Ruth, who looks about 70 years old, has a face haggard with pain, and it's clear that every step costs her an enormous effort. "But what is going on, Robert?" I ask him as I watch them put her on my sofa without asking my permission. "Why didn't you tell me? Why at this hour?" Robert acts as if it is the most normal thing in the world. He starts taking bag after bag out of the car. Medicines, adult diapers, canes, a foldable wheelchair, creams, ointments, and a mountain of things I don't recognize. "It's just that this last-minute business trip opportunity came up," he says, continuing to unload things into my living room. "Lisa and I have to be out of town for a few weeks, maybe a few months. Her mom can't stay alone. She falls. She can't go to the bathroom alone. She can't bathe herself. She practically can't do anything without help." I look at Ruth, who is lying on my favorite sofa, the one I bought 5 years ago when I was able to save a little. She looks truly unwell, with obvious pain in every gesture. I feel sorry for her seeing her like this, but at the same time, I don't understand how my son can arrive at my house at this hour and impose this responsibility on me without consulting me. "Robert, son, I don't know how to care for a sick person," I tell him, trying to stay calm. "Besides, I don't have the proper space, or the knowledge, or—" He interrupts me with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Oh, Mom, it's not that hard. You just have to help her go to the bathroom, give her her medicine, make her soft food, help her bathe. Basic things. Plus, you don't work anymore. You have all the time in the world." That sentence hurts me. You don't work anymore. You have all the time in the world. As if my life, my routines, my small pleasures were worth nothing. As if the fact of being retired meant I was available for anything he decided to impose on me. Lisa approaches with more bags. "Mrs. Carroll, here are all my mum's medicines. This one is for the bone pain. You give it to her every 8 hours. This other one is for circulation twice a day. These are the diapers, because sometimes she can't make it to the bathroom. And here are the creams for the massages she needs on her legs every night." My head is spinning. I didn't ask for this. I didn't prepare for this. I don't want this. But when I look at Ruth quietly groaning on my sofa, I feel compassion. I cannot be cruel to an older person who is suffering. What if something happens to her? What if she gets worse? If I have to take her to the hospital, I ask with genuine concern. Robert shrugs. "That's what you have a phone for, Mum. You call the ambulance, and that's it." The coldness of his answer chills my blood. He is talking about a person's health as if it were any ordinary errand. Then he says the words that will be etched in my memory forever, the words that will change everything between us. Besides, Mum, hiring a nurse costs $3,000 per day, and you are free. It's perfect for everyone. I am breathless. I literally feel the oxygen leave my lungs. Free? I repeat, unable to believe it. Yes, free. And besides, you need to feel useful. You are getting too lonely here, cooped up. That word resonates in my head. Free. For my own son, the woman who gave birth to him, who raised him, who sacrificed her whole life for him, who sold her house to give him money for his business, I am free. Oh, and one more thing, he adds, as if it were a minor detail. Lisa and I are also going to stay here for a few nights before the trip. Our house is being fumigated, and we need a comfortable place to rest well before work. It is not a request. It is a declaration. My house has just been occupied by 3 people without my consent. My space, my tranquility, my routine, everything has been confiscated by my own son's decree. I watch as they start arranging Ruth's things in my living room, moving my furniture, reorganizing my space as if it were theirs. The wheelchair is placed right where I always put my table to drink my morning coffee. The medicines take up my entire dining room table. Lisa doesn't even look at me when she says, "Thank you, Mrs. Carroll. We knew we could count on you. My mother truly needs special care, but with your experience as a mother, I am sure you will do it perfectly." My experience as a mother? Being a mother doesn't automatically turn me into a geriatric nurse, but no one seems to care about my opinion. In less than 1 hour, my quiet, orderly life has turned into a chaos of responsibilities I never asked for. My living room smells of medicinal ointments, it's full of strange devices, and there is an unknown woman moaning in pain on my sofa. But the most painful thing is not the mess, nor the unexpected responsibility, nor even the invasion of my privacy. The most painful thing is the brutal revelation of what I really mean to my son, a free employee who is available 24 hours a day because she has nothing else to do. As I watch Robert and Lisa settle into my guest room as if it were a hotel, as I listen to Ruth's moans of pain from the living room, I realize that something fundamental has just been broken forever between my son and me. To him, I am worth exactly $0 a day. As I prepare breakfast at 6 in the morning for 4 people when I expected to eat alone, my mind flies back in time. I can't help but remember how I got here, how my life became this thing I have now. I remember when Robert was 8 years old and got pneumonia. His father, may he rest in peace, worked nights at the factory and slept during the day. I was the one who spent sleepless nights next to my son's bed, putting cool cloths on his forehead, giving him his medicine every 4 hours, praying that the fever would go down. In those moments, when he grabbed my hand with his tiny fingers and told me, "Mum, don't go. I'm scared," I felt my heart melt with love. I promised him I would never abandon him, that I would always be there for him, no matter what happened. I never imagined that 34 years later, he would see me as a free employee. Robert was always a demanding child. If he wanted something, he would cry until he got it. If he didn't like the food, I had to cook him something special. If he had difficult homework, I would stay up late helping him until the early hours. His father said I was spoiling him, but I thought I was showing him love. When he turned 15 years old, he wanted an expensive bicycle that cost 2 months of my salary as a seamstress. I worked extra shifts for 3 months, sewing until my fingers hurt, to buy him that bicycle. The day I gave it to him, he barely said thank you and went out to ride it. Not a hug, not a special smile. But I was happy, thinking I had made my son happy. At 18 years old, Robert announced that he wanted to study engineering at an expensive private university. His father had died 2 years earlier, and I was the only one working. The tuition cost $1,500 a month. My complete salary was $1,200. What did I do? I sold the few pieces of jewelry I had, borrowed money from my siblings, worked extra Saturdays and Sundays, and even sold my good sewing machine to buy a cheaper used one. All so my son could have the education he deserved. During the 5 years of university, I lived practically on beans and tortillas to be able to pay for his studies, his books, his transportation, and even money for his outings with friends. Robert lived like a prince while I sacrificed in silence. He never graduated. In the last semester, he decided that engineering wasn't for him and that he wanted to start an auto parts business. 5 years of my life, 5 years of extreme sacrifices, thrown away because my son decided to change his plans. But I, as always, supported him. My son, if that's what makes you happy, go ahead. Mum will support you. To start the business, he needed $50,000. I had my house, a modest 3-bedroom house that I had finally paid off with great effort. It was my only asset, my only security for old age. Robert came with numbers, projections, dreams. Mum, in 2 years I'll pay you back everything, and I'll even buy you a bigger house. This business is going to be a total success. Trust me. Against the advice of my siblings, against my own survival instinct, I sold my house. $50,000 that I handed over to Robert with the blind trust of a mother who believes in her son. With that money, I moved to this small house where I live now, and the rest I gave him for the business. Robert set up his shop, bought inventory, hired employees. During the first few months, everything seemed to be going well. He would come to visit me, tell me about the sales, about the expansion plans. But little by little, the visits spaced out. The calls became shorter. When I asked him about the money he was going to return to me, he always had an excuse. Next month. Mum, we're in the slow season now. I have to reinvest the profits to grow faster. 2 years passed. Then 3. Robert married Lisa, a woman who treated me like a bother from day one. At the wedding, which I helped pay for because it was the least I could do for my only son, Lisa didn't even include me in the main family photos. That's where the first signs began that I, blind with maternal love, decided to ignore. Robert stopped visiting me regularly. He no longer called me to tell me about his day. When I called him, he was always in a hurry, always had something more important to do. We'll talk later. Mum, I'm busy right now. The few times he came to see me, he no longer sat down to talk with me. He would arrive, eat something I prepared specially for him, take whatever he needed from the house, and leave. As if my house were a supermarket where he could take whatever he wanted without paying. When his first child was born, I wanted to be the present grandmother, the one who helps with the baby, the one who is there for whatever they need. But Lisa had other ideas. Mrs. Carroll, it's better if you don't come for a few days. The baby is very delicate, and the doctor says the fewer people who touch him, the better. I respected their wishes, but it hurt my soul not to be able to meet my grandson. When they finally let me visit him, the child was already 3 months old. He was a stranger to me. The years passed, and I watched my son build his life without truly including me in it. He had his big house, his new cars, his expensive vacations that he showed off on social media. Meanwhile, I lived off my small retirement check, stretching every dollar to make it to the end of the month. The money he borrowed from me never appeared. When I mentioned it, Robert would get annoyed. Oh, Mum, don't start with that again. You know I'll pay you when I can. But I have a lot of family expenses right now. His expenses. A new car, designer clothes, dinners at expensive restaurants, beach trips every month. My expenses, medicine for my blood pressure, basic groceries, utilities for the house. Little by little, I understood that to Robert, I was only convenient when he needed something. If something broke down in his house, He would call me so I could pay the technician because you don't have other expenses, Mum. If he needed someone to watch the kids, he would show up with them without warning, because he knew I didn't have anything else to do. But what hurt me the most was seeing how he introduced me to his friends. Once I went to his business without announcing it and heard him talking to a client. My mum is already old. She doesn't have much to do, so she's always available to help with whatever we need. As if I were an object, not a person with a life of my own. Now, as I serve breakfast to Ruth, who thanks me with a sweet smile that reminds me why I agreed to take care of her, I understand that all these years I have been trained for this. To be the one who gives and never receives. To be the one who is available regardless of my own plans. To be the one who is worth $0 a day. But something inside me started to change last night when Robert said those cruel words. For the first time in my life, I am starting to see my son not with the eyes of blind maternal love, but with the eyes of reality. And the reality hurts more than I ever imagined. 3 days have passed since Robert and Lisa settled into my house with Ruth. 3 days in which I have been a nurse, cook, maid, and host in my own house. But this morning something strange happens that puts all my senses on alert. Robert is reviewing papers at my dining room table, the same table where I used to quietly drink my coffee every morning. He has a folder I don't recognize, full of documents that look important. When I approach to serve breakfast, he quickly closes the folder, as if he had been doing something he shouldn't. "What are you looking at, son?" I ask him with genuine curiosity. "Nothing important, Mom. Just work," he replies without looking me in the eyes, putting the folder away in a briefcase I hadn't seen before either. But I did see something important before he closed the folder. I saw my name, I saw the word property, and I saw numbers. Big numbers. My heart skips a beat, but I try to act normal. I continue with my morning activities, giving Ruth her medicine, helping her with breakfast, changing her clothes. But my mind is working 1,000 miles an hour, trying to understand what papers with my name Robert could be looking at. Later, while Lisa is taking a shower and Robert has gone out to resolve a business matter, I decide to clean the room where they are sleeping. It is my house. I have the right to clean all the rooms. At least that's what I tell myself to justify what I am about to do. When I enter the room, I see Robert's briefcase on the bed. It is closed, but not locked. My hands tremble as I open it, feeling like I'm doing something wrong, but needing to understand what is happening. Inside, I find a folder full of documents. The first one I see takes my breath away. It is a deed to my house, my house. Why does Robert have the papers for my house? I review more documents with my heart beating so loudly that I fear Ruth will hear me from the living room. I find photocopies of my driver's license, my birth certificate, my bank statement. How did he get these papers? When? What for? But what I find at the end of the folder leaves me completely frozen. A document from the property registry dated last week. A document that talks about a property transfer by family donation of my house to Robert Jones. My legs turn to jelly. I have to sit on the bed so I don't fall. Family donation? When did I donate my house to Robert? When did I sign something like that? I review the document more carefully with trembling hands. There is my signature, or something that looks a lot like my signature, but I don't remember ever signing anything like that. I would never donate my house. It is the only thing I have left, my only security. I hear the shower turn off. Lisa is finishing her shower. I quickly take out my phone and take photos of all the important documents. I don't know why I do it, but my instinct tells me I need proof of what I am seeing. I put everything back exactly as it was and leave the room with shaky legs. I sit in the kitchen, pretending I am preparing lunch, but in reality, I am trying to process what I have just discovered. Robert is trying to take my house from me. Not only that, apparently he has already started the legal process to do it. And all while he has me taking care of his mother-in-law for free in that same house he is trying to steal from me. When Robert returns, I act as if nothing has happened. I serve him lunch, talk about the weather, ask about his work. But inside I am dying. Every smile of his seems false. Every kind word sounds like betrayal. "Mum, the soup is so good," he tells me while eating. "You have always been the best cook." Those words that used to fill me with pride now sound empty. It's easy to say I'm a good cook when he's planning to steal the kitchen where I cook. During the afternoon, while Ruth is taking her nap and Robert is at his business, Lisa stays in the house. I see her talking on the phone on the patio, and something in her tone of voice catches my attention. She speaks loud enough for me to hear, as if she wants me to hear her. "Yes, the lawyer says it's very easy when the elderly person lives alone and has no other close relatives." No, she doesn't suspect anything. Robert handles everything very well. In a few weeks, everything will be in our name, and we can sell. Sell? They are going to sell my house? I feel as if I've been punched in the stomach. Not only are they going to take my house, but they are going to sell it. They are going to convert into money the place where I live, where I have my memories, where I plan to grow old peacefully. Lisa continues talking. "The house is worth about $120,000 according to the appraisal. Yes, with that we can expand our business and buy the apartment at the beach that we want. The best part is that she has no one else. Her siblings live far away and barely speak to each other." It is true. My siblings live in other cities. We talk a few times a year. Robert knows I am alone, that I have no one to defend me, that I have no one to question his actions. When Lisa finishes the call, she comes into the house with a smile that I now understand is completely false. "Mrs. Carroll, do you need help with anything?" "No, dear. Thank you. Everything is fine," I answer. But inside I am screaming. That night, after giving Ruth her nighttime medicine and making sure Robert and Lisa are asleep, I sit at my small kitchen table with a cup of tea and try to fully understand what is happening. My son, the boy I carried in my arms, who I cared for when he was sick, for whom I sold my big house to give him money for his business, is stealing the small house I have left. And not only that, he is using me as a free nurse while he plans to leave me homeless. The cruel irony is perfect. While I am selflessly caring for his sick mother-in-law, he is forging documents to steal my house. I wonder how long he has been planning this. Since when has Robert seen me not as his mother, but as an obstacle to be removed? Since when did he decide that my life, my well-being, my future do not matter? I mentally review the last few months, looking for signs I should have seen before. The more sporadic visits, the strange questions about my documents, the insistence that I give him a copy of the keys in case something happened to me. Everything made sense now. I look toward the living room where Ruth sleeps peacefully, unaware that her presence in my house is part of a strategy to rob me. She is innocent in all this. She is a sick woman who needs care, and her own family is using her as a smokescreen for a crime. Because this is a crime. Stealing an elderly person's house, forging documents, abusing maternal trust. All of this has to be illegal. But the question is, what can I do? Who can I turn to? Who will believe me that my own son is stealing from me? For the first time in my life, I feel a different silence inside me. It is not the silence of maternal submission that I have maintained for 65 years. It is the silence of someone who is planning, thinking, preparing. Robert taught me that I can be free as a nurse, but he doesn't know me well enough to know that I can also be very expensive as an enemy. That night, As I listen to my sons snoring in my guest room, I make a decision that will change everything. I am not going to yell. I am not going to cry. I am not going to beg. I am going to act. Silently, intelligently, patiently. Because if Robert learned to be treacherous, he learned it from life. But if he is going to learn the cost of betraying a mother, he is going to learn it from me. The following days, I live in a strange state that I have never experienced before. On the outside, I am the same Carol as always. I get up early, prepare breakfasts, take care of Ruth patiently, clean the house, smile when necessary. But inside, there is a new Carol who is waking up. A woman who observes, analyzes, and plans. Ruth has become my involuntary confidant. While I give her her medicine, while I help her change position to avoid bed sores, while I prepare her soft meals, she tells me things about her family that break my heart and open my eyes at the same time. Carol, dear, I didn't want to come bother you, she tells me one afternoon while I massage her swollen legs. But Robert told my Lisa that you were very lonely, that you needed to feel useful, that this would be good for you. Needed to feel useful, as if I were an old pet that needs to be kept entertained. Ruth, I don't mind taking care of you, I answer honestly. You are a very sweet lady. What bothers me is how we got to this situation. She sighs, with that wisdom that comes with years. Oh dear, sometimes children don't understand the cost of raising them. They think that because we are old, we no longer feel, we no longer think, we no longer have a life of our own. Those words pierce my heart because they are exactly what I am experiencing. During one of our conversations, Ruth tells me something that freezes my blood. Robert told Lisa that after selling this house, they were going to find me a place in a public nursing home, that I would be better cared for there. Selling this house. Ruth unknowingly confirms what I heard in Lisa's phone call. But there is something else. After using me to care for his mother-in-law for free, after stealing my house, they were going to get rid of her too. We are two elderly women being used and discarded by the same family. Did you know they were going to sell my house? I ask her carefully. Ruth looks at me confused. Your house? I thought it belonged to Robert. He told Lisa that you had decided to donate it to him because you no longer needed it, that you were going to go live with some relatives. My blood boils. Robert is not only stealing my house, but he is already spreading lies to justify the theft. According to his version, I am voluntarily giving him my property and I'm going to go live somewhere else. Where am I supposed to go? I don't have other close relatives willing to take me in. My siblings have their own families, their own problems. With my small retirement check of $600 a month, I cannot afford rent in any decent place. Robert knows it. He knows perfectly well that if he takes my house from me, he is condemning me to homelessness. And he doesn't care. That night, when everyone is asleep, I review my own documents. I look for the original deed to my house, my IDs, my bank statements. I want to make sure I have everything in order to understand exactly what is happening. When I open my important documents drawer, I notice that things are missing. The original deed to the house is gone. The copies of my driver's license are gone too. My last tax return has disappeared. Robert has been stealing my documents little by little, probably during his previous visits. Every time he came to visit me, he was actually coming to steal pieces of my legal identity to build his fraud. I sit in the darkness of my kitchen, trembling not from cold but from rage. My own son has been planning this for months, maybe years. Every smile, every I love you, Mum, every fake hug, all while planning to steal the only thing I have left. The next day, Robert announces that he and Lisa are going on a 2-week trip. It's that important business I told you about, Mom. We're going to open a branch in another city. Of course. They are leaving right now, when the process of stealing my house is probably in the final stages. They are leaving me here to take care of his mother-in-law, while they go to enjoy the anticipated profits from the sale of my property. And Ruth? I ask. You take care of her perfectly, Mum. Besides, this trip is already costing us a lot of money. We can't pay for a nurse, too. Of course. The money they are spending is the money they are going to get from selling my house. My own house is financing their vacation, while I work as a free nurse. Before leaving, Robert does something that confirms all my suspicions. He comes to say goodbye, and asks me to sign some papers in case of any emergency with Ruth. They are medical authorizations. Mum, so you can make decisions if she gets sick and we're not here. The papers look normal, but I no longer trust anything that comes from Robert. I tell him I will review them calmly and give them back later. He gets nervous. No, Mum, sign them now. It's just a precaution. We don't want you to have problems if you have to take her to the hospital. His insistence makes me more alert. Robert, if they are just medical authorizations, there is no rush. I will review them well and give them to you signed tomorrow morning. I see frustration in his eyes, but he can't insist more without looking suspicious. He leaves without the signed papers, and I am left with one more folder of documents to review. That same night, I read them carefully with a magnifying glass I use to thread needles. Among complicated legal language, I discover phrases that terrify me. Temporary transfer of custody, total financial responsibility, indefinite welfare decisions. They are not just medical authorizations for Ruth. They are documents that would make me legally and financially responsible for her indefinitely. If I had signed them, Robert and Lisa would have completely freed themselves from any obligation toward Lisa's mother, leaving her with me forever. The plan is perfect and diabolical. They steal my house, they leave me taking care of their sick mother-in-law without pay, and on top of that, they make me legally responsible for all her medical expenses and care until she dies. I would lose my house, my money, and my freedom. They would gain $120,000 and free themselves from a costly responsibility. I stay up all night, not because Ruth needs me, but because I finally understand the magnitude of the betrayal I am experiencing. It's not just that my son sees me as worthless. It's that he is actively destroying my life to benefit his own. The next morning, when Robert comes for the signed papers, I lie to him with a calm that surprises even myself. Oh, son, I completely forgot. I left them at the neighbor's house when I went to borrow her magnifying glass to read them. I'll look for them and send them to you by mail. He looks frustrated, but he can't do anything. He leaves with Lisa, leaving me alone with Ruth and with the complete truth of what is happening. When the car disappears from sight, I sit next to Ruth and take her hands. Ruth, I have to tell you something important. I think both you and I are being deceived by the same people. I explain everything I have discovered. The stolen documents, the house fraud, the custody papers they wanted me to sign, the plan to put her in a public nursing home after selling my property. Ruth cries, but not from sadness. She cries from rage. Carol, dear, I have some money saved that Lisa doesn't know about, and I have relatives who do love me, but she told them that I didn't want to see them. At that moment, I understand that I am not alone in this battle. I have an unexpected ally, a 70-year-old woman who is also being betrayed by her own family. What are we going to do, Carol? For the first time in weeks, I smile with real pleasure. We are going to show them that they underestimated the wrong women. The first morning after Robert and Lisa left on their trip, I wake up with a determination I hadn't felt in years. Ruth and I eat breakfast together in a knowing silence. both of us aware that today our silent counteroffensive begins. Carol, are you sure you want to do this? Ruth asks me, while I help her with her morning medicine. More sure than I have ever been in my life, I answer her. They thought we were two defenseless old women. They are going to learn that they were wrong. Ruth gives me a smile I hadn't seen before, a smile of complicity and determination. Then let's get started. My first step is to call my neighbour, Mrs. Davis, who has lived next door for 15 years. She has seen all the strange activity of the last few days: the ambulance, Robert's comings and goings, the installation of medical equipment. Mrs. Davis, I need to ask you a very important favour. Could you watch Ruth for a few hours? I have to go out to take care of some urgent matters. Mrs. Davis comes over immediately. She is a 60-year-old woman, a retired school teacher who has always been a good neighbour. I briefly explain the situation to her, without going into all the details, but enough so she understands that I need her help. Oh, Carol, I always suspected that son of yours didn't treat you well. I've seen him come here as if he owned the house. Go on. I'll take care of Mrs. Ruth. My first stop is the property registry office. I bring with me all the photos I took of the documents I found in Robert's briefcase, in addition to my IDs and the few original papers I still have. At the registry, I am attended by a young employee who looks overwhelmed when I explain my situation. Ma'am, what you are telling me is very serious. If someone is forging documents to transfer property without your consent, we are talking about fraud. He helps me search for my house's file in the system. What we see on the screen confirms my worst fears. There is a request for property transfer by family donation that was submitted 2 weeks ago. The signature that appears looks like mine, but I know I never signed that. What can I do to stop this? I ask him. You need to file a formal complaint for document fraud and also an objection to the transfer. But you will need a lawyer. This is too complicated to handle alone. The employee gives me a list of lawyers who specialize in real estate fraud. One of the names catches my attention. Thomas Miller, lawyer specializing in family scams. From the property registry office, I go directly to the office of lawyer Miller. He is a man about 68 years old, with a serious face but kind eyes. When I explain my situation, he becomes very serious. Mrs. Jones, this is more common than you think. Family fraud against older people is increasing a lot. Children who take advantage of their parents' trust to steal their properties. I show him all the photos I took of Robert's documents. The lawyer reviews them carefully with a magnifying glass. This signature is definitely forged. Look here. The pressure of the stroke is not consistent with a natural signature. And here, this date does not match the other documents. Your son made several mistakes that will make the case much easier for us. How much will all this cost? I ask, worried about my small retirement check. Look, Mrs. Carroll, I also have a mother your age. It makes me very angry to see these cases. I will only charge you $300 for the entire legal process. And if we get the house back, which I am sure we will, you don't owe me anything else. For the first time in weeks, I feel real hope. Lawyer Miller explains the plan to me. First, we are going to file a criminal complaint for document forgery. Then we are going to ask for a court order to stop any property transfer. And finally, we are going to prove that all the documentation is fraudulent. How long will it take? If all goes well, we could have a preliminary resolution in 2 weeks. The problem will be when your son finds out that we discovered everything. That is my concern too. When Robert returns and realizes that I know everything, he could become dangerous. From the lawyer's office, I go to the bank where I have my savings account. I want to review all my bank transactions to see if Robert has also been stealing money from me. The bank executive, a woman named Sarah Wilson, checks my account on her system. Mrs. Carroll, I see some strange transactions here in the last few months. There are 3 withdrawals for significant amounts that were made with your card, but at times when you normally don't come to the bank. She shows me the records. Withdrawals of $500, $400, and $600, all made on Tuesdays at 10 in the morning. I never go to the bank on Tuesdays because that is the day I go to the market. Who else has access to your card? Sarah asks me. The truth hits me like a hammer. My son has a copy of my card for emergencies. Sarah looks worried. Mum, your son has been withdrawing money from your account without your authorization. That is also a crime. Between the forged documents and the unauthorized withdrawals, Robert has stolen almost $2,000 of my savings. Money that I had saved for medical emergencies, for house repairs, for my security. Sarah helps me change all my access numbers and cancel the card that Robert has. From now on, he will not be able to touch a penny of my money. When I return home, it is late, but I feel different. For the first time in weeks, I feel like I am taking control of my life. Mrs. Davis welcomes me with a smile. Carol, Ruth is a very sweet lady. We talked all afternoon. She told me some things about her family that left me very worried. Ruth also had a productive day. While I was gathering legal evidence, she was making phone calls to relatives she hadn't contacted in months because Lisa had told her they didn't want to hear from her. Carol, I spoke with my sister who lives in the state capital. It turns out that Lisa told her I had dementia, that I no longer recognized anyone, that it was better not to visit me so as not to confuse me more. Another lie from Lisa to isolate Ruth from her real family. My sister wants to come visit me tomorrow, and my nephew, who is an accountant, says he wants to review how Lisa has been managing my money. That night, after giving Ruth her nighttime medicine, we both sit at the kitchen table to plan our next steps. Ruth, tomorrow when your sister comes, tell her everything. Let them know that you don't have dementia, that you are being deceived, that they want to put you in a public nursing home after stealing my house. And you, Carol, when are you going to confront Robert? I am not going to confront him. I am going to let him return from his trip thinking that everything went perfectly, that I signed the papers, that I accept losing my house, that I am the silly old woman he thinks I am. And then? Then he is going to discover that you should never underestimate a betrayed mother. That night, I sleep better than I have slept in weeks, not because my problems have ended, but because I am finally doing something to solve them. Tomorrow, Robert is going to call to ask about the signed papers. I am going to lie to him with the same ease with which he has lied to me for months, because now I also know how to play dirty. The difference is that I am playing to recover what is mine. He was playing to steal what was never his. Robert calls exactly when I expected him to, on Wednesday afternoon, when he has already been on the trip for 5 days with Lisa. His voice sounds relaxed, almost happy, like someone who is enjoying a vacation paid for with stolen money. Hello, Mum. How are things? How is Ruth doing? Everything is fine, son. Ruth is improving a lot. She even walked a little with the cane yesterday. That's good, Mum. Hey, did you already mail those papers I left for you to sign? Here comes the moment of my first strategic lie. Yes, son. I mailed them yesterday. They should arrive tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Did you sign all of them? You didn't have trouble understanding anything? No. Everything was very clear. They were just medical authorizations for Ruth, right? Exactly, Mom. Just that. The ease with which he lies to me confirms that I have made the correct decision. If he can lie to me about papers that would make me financially responsible for his mother-in-law for life, I can lie to him about having signed them. When are you coming back? I ask him. Monday of next week. The business is going better than expected. I think we're going to be able to expand much faster. Of course, the business is going well. It's easy to expand when you plan to do it with $120,000 stolen from your mother's house. After hanging up, Ruth looks at me with admiration. Carol, you lie better than they do. Well, I have 70 years more experience in life, dear. The following days are strange, but revealing. Without Robert and Lisa in the house, I can clearly see what my life was like before they came to invade it. Ruth and I develop a comfortable routine. She is gradually improving. I do my activities without the pressure of being a servant to 3 people, and we both talk like 2 friends, sharing a difficult situation. Ruth's sister, Janice Thompson, comes to visit her on Thursday. She is a 65-year-old woman, very elegant, who is clearly shocked when she sees her sister's real state. Ruth, Lisa told me that you no longer recognized me, that you had severe dementia, that it was better not to visit you so as not to upset you. Janice, my mind is perfectly fine. The only thing I have is this pain in my bones that prevents me from walking like before. But my head works perfectly. Janice stays all afternoon. She sees how Ruth talks normally, how she remembers all the family names and dates perfectly, how she is aware of the news and can hold complex conversations. Ruth, I have been completely deceived. Lisa told me that you needed specialized care, that you had lost the ability to reason, that it was better to leave you alone. When Janice finds out that Robert and Lisa plan to put Ruth in a public nursing home after selling my house, she becomes furious. My sister has her own money, she has family who loves her, and she has the right to decide where she wants to live. No one is going to put her in any public nursing home. Janice thanks me for the care I have given her sister, but she also realizes that I am being exploited. Carol, you don't have to take care of my sister for free while they go on vacation. This is not fair. It won't be for much longer, I answer her. Things are going to change very soon. On Friday, I have an appointment with lawyer Miller to review the progress of the legal case. The news is better than I expected. Carol, we already filed the criminal complaint for document forgery. We also got a court order that freezes any property transfer until the case is resolved. Your house is legally protected. That means Robert cannot sell it. He can't transfer it, sell it, or mortgage it. Nothing. Until a judge determines that the documents are fraudulent, that property remains exactly as it is, in your name. The lawyer also gives me unexpected news. Carol, it turns out that your son is not as smart as he thinks. When he presented the forged documents at the registry, he left digital traces. He used a computer from his business that is registered in his name. It is going to be very easy to prove that he was the one who created the false documents. During the weekend, while I wait for Robert to return, I do something I hadn't done in months. I check his social media. What I see makes me nauseous, but it also confirms that I am doing the right thing. Robert has been uploading photos of his trip every day. Expensive restaurants, luxurious hotels, costly excursions. In one photo, he is toasting with champagne that probably costs more than a week of my retirement check. The caption says, "Enjoying the life we deserve." Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions to be happy. Difficult decisions? Is he referring to stealing his mother's house as a difficult decision? In another photo, Lisa is at an expensive spa with a facial treatment that must cost $300. Her comment, "I released myself from all the negativity in my life. Now only positive energies." Negativity? Does she consider me negativity? The woman who is taking care of her sick mother for free, while she gets beauty treatments with stolen money? But the photo that impacts me the most is one of Robert on the beach, smiling, with his arms open to the sea. The comment says, "Finally free of the family burdens." that prevented me from growing. New chapter of my life. Family burdens. That's what I am to him. A burden. On Monday morning, Robert calls me to let me know they will arrive in the afternoon. His voice sounds different, more confident, like someone who believes all his problems are solved. Mum, everything okay with the papers? No problems? Everything perfect, son. The papers arrived fine at their destination. Excellent. Hey, Mum. When we arrive, we have to talk about some changes. What kind of changes? Nothing important. Just some adjustments so we can all be more comfortable. Adjustments. He surely means to tell me that I no longer have a house, that I am now an employee who lives on his property, that my status changed from mother to full-time maid. That afternoon, when I see Robert's car approaching my house, I feel a strange calm. He comes with the confidence of someone who believes he has just executed the perfect crime. He comes thinking that he has all the documents in order, that his silly mother signed everything he wanted, that his plan worked perfectly. He doesn't know that his fraudulent documents are being investigated by the police. He doesn't know that a judge already froze the transfer of my property. He doesn't know that the bank cancelled his access to my money. He doesn't know that Ruth is in contact with her real family. He doesn't know that while he was spending money that he hadn't even stolen yet, I was building the legal case that is going to destroy all his plans. Robert gets out of the car, loaded with bags of expensive gifts and souvenirs. He is smiling, relaxed, tanned from the beach sun. Lisa also looks radiant, rested, happy. They look like two people who have just solved all their financial problems. Mum, how is my favourite nurse doing? Robert says, hugging me with a false familiarity that gives me the chills. Fine, son. How was the trip? Excellent. Better than we expected. I think this is going to be the best year of our lives. Lisa greets her mother with a distracted air, like someone checking on a property they left in custody. Hi, Mum. Did you behave? You didn't give Mrs. Carroll any trouble. As if Ruth were a naughty pet. That night, during dinner, Robert is particularly talkative. He tells me about his plans to expand the business, about the possibility of opening another branch, about some investments he is considering. Everything financed with the money from the sale of my house. Mum, tomorrow we have to go together to some offices to sign some additional papers. Pure formality, but they need you to be present. Formalizing the theft of my house, he means. But I also have my own plan for this day. Last night I called Lawyer Miller and we coordinated everything. I also called Janice, Ruth's sister, to come early this morning. Janice arrives at 8, just as Robert is finishing getting dressed. He is surprised to see her. Good morning. Who are you? I am Janice Thompson, Ruth's sister. I have come to pick up my sister to take her to live with me. Robert's face changes completely. From the confident smile, it goes to confusion and then to alarm. What? No. No. Ruth is very sick. She needs specialized care. She can't leave just like that. Janice, who already knows the whole story, responds firmly. My sister does not have dementia, as you told me. She can perfectly well decide where she wants to live, and she decided to come with me. But the papers, the custody documents. Robert starts to get nervous. What custody documents? Janice asks with feigned innocence. Robert looks at me desperately. Mum, tell her that you signed the papers I left you. Tell her that you are Ruth's legal guardian now. Here comes my moment of truth. Robert, I never signed any custody papers. You told me they were only medical authorizations. But you said you had mailed them. I lied. That simple word, I lied, said with all the calm in the world, completely throws him off. His perfect mother, his obedient mother, his mother who never questions anything, has just admitted that she deliberately lied to him. Lisa runs down, hearing the raised voices. When she sees Janice with suitcases next to Ruth, she panics. No, my mum can't leave. She is very sick. She can't take care of herself. Ruth, who has been silent until now, speaks with a stronger voice than we had heard in weeks. Lisa, my mind is perfectly fine. I just have trouble walking. But with physical therapy, I will improve. I am going with my sister because I want to be with family who truly loves me. But the expenses, the care, it's very expensive, Lisa screams. Janice smiles. Ruth has her own money, money that you have been managing without her permission. My nephew, the accountant, is already reviewing all the accounts. Robert and Lisa look at each other in terror. Not only is their perfect excuse to steal my house escaping them, but they are also going to be investigated for mismanagement of Ruth's money. Robert, let's go do the paperwork now, Robert says, trying to regain control. We will resolve this later. We are not going anywhere, I answer him with a calm that surprises me. What do you mean, no? We have an appointment with the notary. I don't have an appointment with any notary. You have an appointment to try to complete the theft of my house. Robert is speechless. His perfect plan is crumbling before his eyes, and he doesn't understand how. The doorbell rings. It is Lawyer Miller, who arrives exactly at the agreed time. Good morning, Mrs. Carroll. I am Thomas Miller, your lawyer. Are the other parties involved in the real estate fraud present? The word fraud drops like a bomb in the room. Robert turns completely pale. Fraud? What are you talking about? What lawyer? Mum, what is going on here? Lawyer Miller opens his briefcase and takes out a thick folder. Mr. Robert Jones, I have here a criminal complaint for document forgery, a court order that freezes the transfer of your mother's property, and evidence of unauthorized access to bank accounts. Robert slumps into a chair, completely pale. No, I don't understand. Mum, what have you done? What I should have done a long time ago, defend myself. Lisa tries to intervene. This is a misunderstanding. Robert was just helping his mum with the papers. Lawyer Miller looks at her coldly. Helping? Forging your mother's signature on property transfer documents is helping. He takes out copies of the fraudulent documents and shows them to them. Look here. This signature is clearly forged. The pressure of the stroke, the speed of writing, everything indicates that it was not done by Mrs. Carroll. Robert attempts a desperate strategy. Mom is very old. She gets confused. Maybe she signed and doesn't remember. Robert, I tell him with a voice he had never heard from me. I am 65 years old, not 95. My mind is perfectly clear. Clear enough to remember every lie you have told me in the last few months. The lawyer continues. In addition to the real estate fraud, we have evidence of unauthorized withdrawals from your mother's bank account for a total of $1,500. Lisa becomes hysterical. This is a trap. They are manipulating her. Mrs. Carroll had always said that the house was going to be for Robert. I never said that, I respond firmly. You invented it to justify your plans. At that moment, another person arrives, a police officer whom Lawyer Miller had called to be present. Mr. Robert Jones, the officer asks. Yes, it's me. You need to come with us to make a statement about the complaint of real estate fraud filed against you. Robert gets up, trembling. You are arresting me. For now, we just need your statement, but I recommend you get a lawyer. Lisa begins to cry. This is going to ruin everything. The business, our reputation, the loans we took out. There is the confirmation of something I suspected. Not only did they plan to steal my house, but they had already taken out loans using the house as future collateral. What loans? Lawyer Miller asks. Lisa realizes that she has just confessed something serious. We needed money for the business. You used as collateral a property that did not belong to you. The police officer takes note. That is another crime. Bank fraud. Robert explodes. This is all your fault, Mum. We were helping you. We were going to take care of you. We were going to find a place where you could live peacefully. A place where I could live peacefully? Are you referring to the street? Because that's what I had left after you sold my house. That's not true. We were going to take care of you. Robert, how did you take care of Ruth? Planning to put her in a public nursing home after using her illness to steal my house. The officer intervenes. Sir, we need to go. We have to complete your statement. As Robert is led out in handcuffs, followed by Lisa, who can't stop crying, Janice finishes packing Ruth's things. Carol, are you going to be okay? Ruth asks me before leaving. I'm going to be better than ever. Friend, take good care of yourself. When the house becomes silent, I sit in my favorite chair in the living room, and for the first time in months, I can breathe peacefully in my own home. Lawyer Miller reviews some papers. Carol, the legal process is going to take a few weeks, but with all the evidence we have, I am sure we are going to win. Your house is safe. And Robert, is he going to face charges for real estate fraud, document forgery, and bank fraud? They are serious crimes. I look toward the door through which my son left. The boy I raised, who I loved, who I protected for 42 years, has just been arrested for trying to steal from me. But for the first time in a long time, I don't feel sadness. I feel peace. The following days pass as if I were living in a movie I hadn't asked to see. My house, which for weeks had been invaded by medical machines, yelling demands, and the toxic presence of Robert and Lisa, is now in a silence I hadn't experienced in months. But it is not an empty silence. It is a silence full of possibilities, of recovered freedom, of restored dignity. On Wednesday morning, my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize, but when I answer, I hear Lisa's desperate voice. Mrs. Carroll, please, we need to talk. This is a terrible misunderstanding. There is nothing to talk about, Lisa. Yes, there is. Robert is in jail. He can't pay the bail. His business is collapsing. Clients are finding out about everything and no longer trust him. Exactly what I expected to happen. The real consequences of their actions are finally catching up to them. That is not my problem, Lisa. But you are his mother. Children make mistakes. He loves you. That word, love, said by her, makes me laugh. Love? Calling, stealing my house and leaving me on the street, love? He wasn't going to leave you on the street. We were going to take care of you. Like you were taking care of your mother, planning to put her in a public nursing home. Lisa falls silent for a few seconds, probably realizing that she has no valid arguments. Mrs. Carroll, please, if you drop the charges, we will give you back everything. We will give you back your money, we will apologize, and we will never bother you again. Everything? Are you going to give me back the years of sacrifice I made for Robert? Are you going to give me back the trust I had in my son? Are you going to give me back the nights I didn't sleep, caring for your mother for free while you spent stolen money on vacations? We will pay you for taking care of my mum. We will give you what a nurse would have cost. $3,000 per day for 2 weeks? $42,000? Total silence on the other end of the line. That's what I thought. They don't have that money because they already spent it. Mrs. Carroll, please. Lisa, the next time you want to talk to me, let it be through your lawyers. I hang up the phone and feel strangely good. For the first time in my life, I hung up the phone on a family member, and it felt liberating. On Thursday, I I receive an unexpected visit. My brother David, who lives in another city and with whom I talk a few times a year. He arrives worried because he found out from other relatives what is happening. Carol, why didn't you tell me what Robert was doing? Why didn't you ask me for help? Because you don't want to admit that your own son is stealing from you. It's too shameful. David is furious. That scoundrel. Mum and Dad would be turning over in their graves if they knew what he did. David, I raised Robert with so much love. I gave him everything I could, more than I could. Where did I go wrong? You didn't go wrong at all, Carol. Some children just turn out bad, no matter what you do. My brother stays with me for 3 days. It is comforting to have a real family member, someone who loves me without hidden agendas, someone who is genuinely concerned about my well-being. On Friday, Lawyer Miller calls me with news that leaves me speechless. Carol, the bank where Robert requested the loan using your house as collateral, filed an additional complaint. It turns out that he also forged your signature on those documents. Now he faces federal charges. What does that mean? That if he is found guilty, he could go to federal prison for several years. Financial crimes are taken very seriously. I feel a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction because justice is working. Sadness because it is my son who will face the consequences. During the weekend, some neighbors who had found out about the situation come to visit me. Mrs. Davis, who had helped me by caring for Ruth, arrives with a homemade dessert. Carol, the whole block is talking about what happened. I always suspected that son of yours didn't treat you well, but I never imagined it would go this far. Other neighbors tell me things that open my eyes more. Carol, we saw Robert several times checking the exterior of your house, measuring things, taking pictures. We thought maybe he was going to do some remodeling. He was appraising the property to know exactly how much money he could get from the sale. We also saw him once taking papers out of your mailbox when you weren't home. We thought it was strange, but we didn't want to get involved. Robert had been intercepting my mail, probably to control what information reached my hands. On Monday morning, I receive a call that surprises me. It's Ruth from her sister's house. Carol, dear, how are you? Fine, Ruth. And you? How do you feel at your sister's house? Like I'm in heaven. Carol, Janice is giving me physical therapy. I'm eating well, and most importantly, I'm with people who truly love me. I'm very glad to hear that. Carol, I have news. My nephew, the accountant, finished reviewing how Lisa was managing my money. It turns out they stole almost $15,000 from me over the last 2 years. Another revelation about the true nature of Robert and Lisa. What are you going to do? We already filed another complaint. Lisa is also going to face charges for theft and financial abuse of an elderly person. Justice. Finally, real justice for all the people who had been hurt by this couple of scammers. On Tuesday, Robert calls me from jail. His voice sounds completely different from the confident man who had gone on a trip 2 weeks ago. He sounds broken, desperate, scared. Mom, please, I need you to come visit me. No, Mom, I'm your son. I need your help. Robert, when I needed respect, you gave me humiliation. When I needed honesty, you gave me lies. When I needed support, you gave me betrayal. Mum, I love you. Everything I did was to secure our future. Our future. Robert, your plan was to leave me without a house, without money, without anything. Where was I in that future of yours? We were going to take care of you. We were going to find you a nice place to live. With what money? With my $600 a month retirement check. In what nice place can I live with that? Silence on the other end of the line. Robert, for 42 years I was your mother. I gave you everything I had. I sold my big house to finance your business. I worked extra shifts to pay for your university. I sacrificed limitlessly for your well-being. I know, Mum, That's why you have to help me now. No. Now you have to face the consequences of your actions, like an adult, like the man I thought you were. Mum, please. My business is failing. Clients no longer trust me. Employees are leaving. I'm going to lose everything. Perfect. Now you know how I felt when I discovered that my own son was planning to steal everything I had. It's not the same. You are right. It is not the same. You chose to be a thief. I never chose to be a victim of my own son. Mum. Robert, don't call me again. Any communication you want to have with me, let it be through lawyers. I hang up the phone, and for the first time in weeks, I cry. But I don't cry out of sadness for Robert. I cry out of relief for myself. I cry because I finally freed myself from the burden of protecting someone who never protected me. I cry because after 65 years, I finally learned to defend myself. I cry because I discovered that I can be strong when I need to be. And I cry because, although I lost a son, I found myself. 6 months have passed since the day that changed my life forever. 6 months since I discovered that my own son was planning to steal my house and leave me homeless. 6 months since I decided to defend myself with the same determinations with which for decades I sacrificed myself for him. This Saturday morning, I get up without hurry, without the urgency I lived with when my house was invaded by people who abused my kindness. I quietly prepare my coffee, listening to the singing of the birds that nest in the mango tree in my yard. It is a sound I had forgotten during the weeks of chaos, when medical machines and constant complaints filled every corner of my home. Robert's trial ended 3 weeks ago. The judge found him guilty of real estate fraud, document forgery, and bank fraud. The sentence was 4 years in federal prison and the obligation to pay me $25,000 in damages. Lisa received 2 years in prison for her participation in the fraud and for the theft of Ruth's money. When lawyer Miller communicated the sentence to me, I didn't feel the vengeful satisfaction I had expected. I felt something deeper and more healing. I felt that justice had been restored, that my dignity had been recognized, that my value as a person had been validated by a system that took seriously the abuse I had suffered. My house is truly mine again now. The false documents were officially annulled, my name was restored as the sole legal owner, and the bank that had granted the fraudulent loan had to absorb the losses for not having adequately verified the documents. My property, which Robert had planned to sell for $120,000, was officially valued at $140,000 during the legal process. With the money from the damages, I had the entire house painted. I chose colours that I like, not the neutral tones that Robert always said were more appropriate for my age. My living room now has soft yellow walls that reflect the morning light in a way that makes me smile every time I enter. My kitchen is mint green, a colour I always liked but never dared to use because Robert said it was too youthful for a woman my age. I also bought new furniture, a comfortable queen-size bed to replace the twin bed where I had slept for years, because Robert insisted that a single woman did not need a large bed. A spacious, soft sofa where I can sit to read or watch television without the back pain my old, worn-out furniture gave me. A nice dining room table where I can receive the friends I have been regaining, those friends I had neglected for years, because Robert always had some emergency that required my immediate attention. Ruth comes to visit me once a week. She has improved immensely living with her sister Janice. She can already walk without help for short distances, and her attitude is completely different. She is no longer the dull, complaining woman that Robert and Lisa had brought to my house. She is a lively, conversational lady, full of plans and projects. She tells me about the knitting classes she is taking, about the afternoons she spends playing cards with other neighborhood ladies at her sister's house, about the grandchildren she can now see regularly because she is no longer isolated by Lisa's lies. During one of her visits, Ruth confessed something to me that deeply impacted me. She told me that during the weeks she was in my house, she knew perfectly well that Robert and Lisa were planning something bad with me. She had overheard phone conversations, seen documents, noticed the strange behavior of her daughter and son-in-law. But she felt so dependent, so afraid of being abandoned, that she decided to keep quiet. Her confession made me understand something important about my own situation. For decades, I had also decided to keep quiet about Robert's abuse, because I was afraid of losing the relationship with my only son. I had normalized his lack of respect, his irrational demands, his way of treating me as if I were his personal employee, because I believed it was better to have a son who mistreated me than not to have a son at all. Now I understand that that logic was profoundly wrong. A son who abuses his mother, who steals from her, who plans to leave her destitute, is not truly a son in the emotional sense of the word. He is a parasite who uses the family bond as a tool for manipulation and control. My brother David visits me regularly since he found out everything I went through. He comes every 2 weeks. Sometimes he brings his wife. Sometimes he comes alone. We talk about family, about memories of our childhood, about our parents. It is comforting to have a genuine family relationship, a relationship based on real love and not on mutual convenience or emotional manipulation. David has insisted several times that I consider moving to the city where he lives, that I stay at his house, that I let him take care of me in my old age. But I have decided to stay here, in my recovered house, in my own space. After decades of sacrificing my comfort and my desires for other people, I have finally learned to value my independence and my right to live the way I want to live. I have developed a routine that fills me with satisfaction. I wake up when my body naturally wakes up, not when someone else needs me to be available. I eat breakfast peacefully while reading the news or listening to music. I dedicate my mornings to caring for my small garden, where I have planted flowers and aromatic herbs that I always wanted to have, but never had time to maintain. I spend my afternoons reading, watching movies I like, or visiting the neighbors who have become real friends. On Sunday mornings, I walk to the neighborhood church, not necessarily because I am very religious, but because I enjoy the walk, the cordial greeting with other people from the neighborhood, the feeling of belonging to a community that sees me as a valuable individual and not as a useful tool to solve other people's problems. Robert wrote me several letters from prison. The first were letters of supplication, trying to convince me to drop the charges, promising me that he had learned his lesson, swearing that he would never hurt me again. Then came letters of emotional manipulation, reminding me of all the happy moments of his childhood, talking about the love he had always felt for me, trying to make me feel guilty for having abandoned him in his time of greatest need. The most recent letters have been letters of anger. He blames me for ruining his life, accuses me of being vengeful and cruel, tells me that a true mother would never have allowed her son to go to jail. In those letters, I see Robert's true personality, the personality that had been hidden behind years of manipulation and false displays of affection. I have not responded to any of his letters. I read them to remind myself why I made the decisions I made, but I don't feel any obligation to give him the emotional comfort he is looking for. For 42 years, I was the one who sought his approval, his affection, his recognition. Now it is his turn to seek mine, and he has forever lost the right to receive it. This afternoon, as I water the plants in my garden and feel the warm autumn sun on my face, I reflect on the path that brought me here. I realize that the woman I am today is a version of myself that I had never known before. She is a woman who knows how to defend her rights, who does not accept being mistreated by anyone, who understands that true love never requires the total sacrifice of personal dignity. I don't feel resentment toward Robert. Resentment requires emotional energy that I prefer to invest in my own happiness and well-being. What I feel is a kind of distant pity, the same pity I would feel for any person who has made such destructive decisions that irreparably ruined the most important relationships in their life. When the sun sets and I turn on the lights of my recovered house, I sit on my new sofa with a cup of tea and look around my living room. I see walls painted with colours that I chose, furniture I bought for my comfort, plants I cared for with my own hands, photographs of people who truly love me. I don't hear medical machines, nor constant complaints, nor irrational demands. I hear the peaceful silence of a house that completely belongs to the person who inhabits it. This silence is not the silence of loneliness. It is the silence of peace. It is the silence of a woman who finally learned that her own well-being matters, just as much as the well-being of the people she claims to love. It is the silence of someone who closed the door not out of hatred, but out of self-love. And by closing that door, a completely new world of possibilities and dignity opened up.